Thanks for tuning in to No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we find ourselves in Etrepalda, Campania, Italy. And this is the home of the Mastroberardino family. And we've been lucky enough to tour their winemaking location and visit their cellars. And they've treated us to a beautiful tasting. And there's some wines here that I really wanted to share with you. But first, a little bit about the Mastroberardino family. So they're a fixture in Irpinia, which is what this region is called in Campania, and they've been here since 1878. And what's unique about this family is they've taken really kind of in the world's eyes unknown regional grapes and brought those. They're the first ones to actually import to the United States and share some of this beautiful regionality with the rest of the world. And that's quite special. So I have 6 wines here in front of me that I want to share with you that are kind of quite different from what we might expect. We've talked a lot about the kingpin of the grapes in this area called Aglianico, but we've never seen an Aglianico in a Blanco style. This is a wine called Nerometa, and Nerometa is taken from pressing Aglianico grapes, taking the first 10% of the juice, which runs clear. So in the Champagne world, we would call this a Blanc de Noise. So we're taking white from black skin grapes. Beautiful wine. If we go ahead and give it a sip, what we're going to see is really an incredible crispness. It comes across with kind of lemon and almost a crushed rock minerality, but it pivots very quickly to a richness of toasted almond on the backside of the palate. So really quite a unique and complex wine. So the next one we're going to go to is Mayorum. So this is an Irpinia Blanco. So that means it's a white wine from the Irpinia area. What's different about this is it's 50% Fiano and 50% Greco di Tufo, which are kind of the two bigger white wine grapes in this area. Now what's different about this wine is it's all done with malolactic fermentation. That's where we introduce a beneficial bacteria to convert malic acid to lactic acid, and then it spends 18 months in oak. So that's really quite different from some of the crisp wines that we have in this area. So let's give this a sip and see how it speaks to us. So the Mayorum, this wine actually comes across kind of like, in everybody's eyes, a toasty, buttery Chardonnay, but a little bit more crisp. I get kind of green apple and pear flavors, but a very rich, almost caramel butterscotch mid-palate, and really an opulent finish. So very much a New World style wine. So next we're going to get into the Stilema wines in the Mastroberardino portfolio. And Stilema, the first one we have is a Fiano d'Avellino, 2019 vintage, then a Greco di Tufo 2018 vintage. Now what's different about these two wines, 100% Fiano, 100% Greco di Tufo. This one, 10% of the wine spends time in oak and also malolactic fermentation. The other 90% spends time in stainless steel. Now with the Greco di Tufo, that drops to 7% malolactic and 7% oaking. So let's give a little taste and see how these wines present themselves. The Fiano comes across with a lot of kind of green apple and pear type flavors, and then you get a little bit of that richness from the oak. What's really nice about this wine is it strikes the balance between crispness and also opulence. Let's see how the Greco presents itself. The Greco di Tufo has some of the same attributes where it's crisp and refreshing, but also with a slight bit of opulence. But now the flavor profile has switched from more green apples and pears to more white peach and nectarine. So a little bit different in the glass. Now finally we go on to what is traditional for Aglianico grapes. And these are the kind of the peak of the mountain, the DOCG level Aglianico, which comes from the commune of Taurasi. So when we look at Taurasi wines, we have a Stilema and a Radici. What's different about these two, the Stilema uses kind of old world techniques. We're doing shorter extractions, With Stilema, we do 7 days of juice on skins, and then we're aging in large bolties. The bolties are the very large oak barrels that will impart less oak oil and age the wine a little bit slower. So let's call this a old world approach. Then when we look at the Radici, I would call that more a new world approach to Taurasi Aglianico. These wines spend time in barriques, 40 months in the barrique and 30 additional months in the bottle. That is the same for both of them, but a botti versus a barrique. And we'll put pictures in this video so you see exactly what that is all about. So let's go ahead and give a taste to the Stilema. So when we taste this, we get more red fruits that come out in the wine. Think things like plums and cherries, maybe even a little bit of strawberry. The tannins are there, they're strong, but they're not gripping, they're not overwhelming. And the oak presence, this wine is about the fruit, not the oak. It's much more in the old world style. When we look at the Radici, this wine immediately comes across heavier. Now we get notes of fruits like blackberry. We get a little bit of pepper notes, mid-palate, maybe a slight bit of anise or licorice. But when it sits on the palate, we feel those tannins begin to grip and grip and grip and become more astringent on the palate. We also get some notes of a slight bit of vanilla from the newer French oak that these are aged in. So the beautiful thing about Mastroberardino is that they produce wines for just about every palate. When you think about someone who wants a rich, opulent wine, someone that wants a crisp, refreshing wine, someone who wants a heavy wine, an old world, a new world wine, you're going to find it with Mastroberardino. So we sure did enjoy our time here at the winery, and we ask that you follow us and come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.